Teacher Talking Sports, what it does, what it do, how we live. And once the Milwaukee Bucks were once again eliminated in the opening round of the playoffs, and once it was known that Damian Lillard tore his Achilles, which obviously will keep him out most, if not all, of the 2025-26 season, many wondered if Giannis Antetokounmpo would remain on the team, if he'd want to move on. Now, he hasn't requested a trade, but of course the news today was that he's open to possibly leaving the team since they won the championship in 2021. They advanced to the second round the following year, and in the last three seasons, they have been eliminated in the first round. Now, that's due in part to injuries, including to him, but nonetheless, haven't reached that level of success. Giannis, of course, is 30 years old, so now the talk is what teams would possibly look to deal for him, what would make the most sense. So this is Yahoo Sports. Which potential Giannis Antetokounmpo destinations make the most sense? Goes on to mention how, and of course, Shams Charania was the one who reported that. Mentions the Houston Rockets. Now, the writer mentions how the first player they should look for is Amen Thompson. That's definitely understandable. Amen Thompson, to a much lesser extent, can remind you of Giannis because he's a defensive-minded guy who is not a great outside shooter, but nonetheless, definitely a building block for the future. And Houston, despite being the number 2 seed, clearly needed that star level talent after being eliminated in the first round. Jalen Green it's questionable whether he could reach those heights. So will they decide to get that superstar guy remains to be seen. Also mentions the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, I think a large key to that, if the Nuggets were to beat them in the opening round of the playoffs, if the Nuggets were to beat them in the conference semifinals, right now the series is tied 2-2. Maybe they get a little desperate, realize they need that second superstar. I mean, Jalen Williams, very good player, probably not at that superstar level. Of course, they have a bevy of future draft picks that they've acquired over the years. But if they were to lose, it mentions that probably would also cost the Thunder Chet Holmgren and the salaries to match, unless the Bucks would prefer Jalen Williams. Of course, two guys that are plenty younger than Giannis, although, of course, Giannis is the better player. Whoever lands the number 1 or number 2 overall pick. Now, that is a question that it's a tough one, because would you rather have Cooper Flag or Giannis Antetokounmpo when the Greek Freak is 30 and Cooper Flag's only 19 years old, or will be 19 when the season begins. Of course, you're going to get him at a much more cost-controlled contract if you get that first overall pick. And of course, it matters who were to get that first overall pick. If the Wizards, Jazz, Hornets get it, would Giannis really want to go to one of those teams? I mean, we've heard no word on what teams he would want to go to. Houston has a chance to get that first overall pick, as do the San Antonio Spurs. Maybe they think about it more of a win now mode. Spurs, of course, have Wemby traded for De'Aaron Fox, and as I mentioned, the Rockets were the number 2 seed in the West. Maybe number 2 pick, you would think about it. A guy like Dylan Harper might be taken, but the Brooklyn Nets, of course, have probably the largest treasure trove of future draft picks, and definitely need that superstar talent. Actually played above their expectations this season, but we're still far from the playoffs. Would Giannis potentially want to go there, though? The Miami Heat, they have picks plus Tyler Hero and or Bam Adebayo. I don't know if that's quite enough. And, if they were to trade Hero or Adebayo, while of course they would probably be a better team, would they have enough around Giannis? Giannis isn't a cheat code where if you have him, you're just guaranteed to do well. We saw the Bucks trade for Kyle Kuzma, and he really struggled. And the Bucks were out in the first round, and that's who it mentions now. Evan Sidery on X. I believe he's a Forbes sports writer. Updated odds via DraftKings Sportsbook on Giannis Antetokounmpo's next team if he decides to request a trade from the Bucks. So right now the Rockets are the favorite, and again, understandable because even though they played so well this season, finished as the number 2 seed in the West, clearly need more offensive talent and don't quite have that superstar. I mean, Alperen Sengun is like a lower level all-star guy. Thunder, again, I think it's largely contingent on what happens in this Denver series, although, they make the Western Conference Finals, and while it's not a sure thing, let's say they play Minnesota beats them in, 5-6 games. Maybe they think about that as well. The Warriors, I don't really foresee that. Who are they going to deal? Sign and trade for Kuminga? No, it's not going to be enough. Spurs were mentioned. I think that's largely contingent on if they were to get into the top 4 of the draft. The Nets, will a ton of draft picks be enough? Lakers, who do they really have to trade other than, let's say, an Austin Reeves? Suns, no, I can't foresee that. And then the Miami Heat, plus 2,000. So who do you think would be the best option for Giannis that can conceivably make a good trade offer for him? Of course, it's not easy to figure out what would be a good trade for him. Man, I'm a Knicks fan, and even though Mikal Bridges helped the Knicks win those first 2 games with those steals, I'm sure a lot of fans are going to be upset if Giannis is there for the taking and they can't get him because they traded all those first-round picks to the Nets to get Mikal Bridges. But again, just knock on wood that they win Game 4. But, yeah, Giannis potentially out there, hasn't requested a trade. Where would you like to see him end up if he does leave? Anyhow, don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend to subscribe. Like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out.